A baronet, or the rare female equivalent, a baronetess, is the holder of a baronetcy, a hereditary title awarded by the British Crown. The practice of awarding baronetcies was originally introduced in England in the 14th century and was used by James I of England in 1611 as a means of raising funds. A baronetcy is the only British hereditary honour that is not a peerage, with the exception of the Anglo-Irish Black Knight, White Knight and Green Knight. A baronet is addressed as Sir or Dame in the case of a baronetess, but ranks above all knighthoods and damehoods in the order of precedence, except for the Order of the Garter and the Order of the Thistle. Baronets are not deemed members of the nobility, but rather titled gentry. In Europe, the social rank is roughly equivalent to the petty nobility. History of the term. The term baronet has medieval origins. Sir Thomas de la Mort, describing the Battle of Boroughbridge, mentioned that baronets took part, along with barons and knights. Edward III is known to have created 8 baronets in 1328. Further creations were made in 1340, 1446 and 1551. At least one, Sir William de la Pole in 1340, was created for payment of money. Whether these early creations were hereditary, all have died out. Present-day baronets date from 1611, when James I granted letters patent to 200 gentlemen of good birth with an income of at least £1,000 a year in return for the honour. Each were required to pay for the upkeep of 30 soldiers for 3 years, amounting to £1,095. In those days a very large sum. In 1619 James I established the baronetage of Ireland. Charles I in 1625 created the baronetages of Scotland and Nova Scotia. The new baronets were each required to pay 2,000 marks to support 6 colonial settlers for 2 years. Over 100 of these baronetcies, now familiarly known as Scottish baronetcies, survive to this day. As a result of the union of England and Scotland in 1707, all future creations were styled baronets of Great Britain. Following the union of Great Britain and Ireland in 1801, new creations were styled as baronets of the United Kingdom. As of 2000, including baronetcies where succession was dormant or unproven, there were a total of 1,314 baronetcies divided into 5 classes of creation included on the official roll: 146 of England, 63 of Ireland, 119 of Scotland, 133 of Great Britain and 853 of the United Kingdom. Under royal warrants of 1612 and 1613, certain privileges were accorded to baronets. Firstly, no person or persons should have place between baronets and the younger sons of peers. Secondly, the right of knighthood was established for the eldest sons of baronets. And thirdly, baronets were allowed to augment their armorial bearings with the arms of Ulster on an escutcheon, in a field argent, a hand gules. These privileges were extended to baronets of Ireland, and for baronets of Scotland the privilege of depicting the arms of Nova Scotia as an augmentation of honour. The former applies to this day for all baronets of Great Britain and of the United Kingdom created subsequently. The title of baronet was initially conferred upon noblemen who lost the right of individual summons to Parliament, and was used in this sense in a statute of Richard II. A similar title of lower rank was banneret. Since 1965 only one new baronetcy has been created, for Sir Denis Thatcher on 7 December 1990, husband of a former British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Their eldest son, Sir Mark Thatcher, succeeded as second baronet upon his father's death in 2003. Conventions. Like knights, baronets are accorded the style Sir before the first name. Baronetesses in their own right use they also before the first name, while wives of baronets use lady followed by the husband's surname only. This by long-standing courtesy. Wives of baronets are not baronetesses, only women holding baronetcies in their own right is a style. Unlike knighthoods, which apply to the recipient only, a baronetcy is hereditarily entailed. The eldest son of a baronet who is born in wedlock succeeds to a baronetcy upon his father's death, but will not be officially recognized until his name is recognized by being placed on the official roll, with some exceptions granted with special remainder by letters patent. Baronetcies are descend through the male line. A full list of extant baronets appears in Burke's Peerage and Baronetage, which also published a record of extinct baronetcies. A baronetcy is not a peerage, so baronets, like knights and junior members of peerage families, are commoners and not peers of the realm. According to the Home Office, there is a tangible benefit to the honour of baronet. According to law, a baronet is entitled to have a pall supported by 2 men, a principal mourner and 4 others assisting at his funeral. Originally, baronets also had other rights, including the right to have the eldest son knighted on his 21st birthday. However, at the beginning of George IV's reign, these rights were eroded by orders in council on the grounds that sovereigns should not necessarily be bound by acts made by the predecessors. Baronets, although never having been automatically entitled to heraldic supporters, were allowed them in heredity in the first half of the 19th century, where the title holder was also a knighthood cross of a crown order. Baronets of Scotland and Nova Scotia were allowed to augment their armorial bearings with the arms of Nova Scotia and the privilege of wearing a neck badge signifying of Nova Scotia, suspended by an orange tawny ribbon. This consists of an escutcheon argent with the saltire azure and an escutcheon of the Royal Arms of Scotland, with an imperial crown above the escutcheon, and encircled with the motto Fax Mentis Honesta Gloria. This badge may be shown suspended by the ribbon below the escutcheon. Baronets of England and Ireland applied to King Charles I for permission to wear a badge. Although a badge was worn in the 17th century, it was not until 1929 that King George V granted permission for all baronets to wear badges. Addressing a baronet and the wife of a baronet is referred to and addressed as, for example, Sir and Lt. Joseph and Gt. The correct style on an envelope for a baronet who has no other titles is Sir and Lt. Joseph Bloggs and Gt. Bt. or Sir and Lt. Joseph Bloggs and Gt. Bart. The letter would commence, Dear Sir and Lt. Joseph and Gt. The wife of a baronet is addressed and referred to as Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. at the head of a letter as Dear Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. Her given name is used only when necessary to distinguish between 2 holders of the same title. For example, if a baronet has died and the title has passed to his son, the widow will remain Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. if he is unmarried. But if he is married, his wife becomes Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. while his mother will be known by the style and Lt. Alice and Gt. Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. Alternatively, the mother may prefer to be known as the Dowager Lady and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. A previous wife will also become and Lt. Alice and Gt. Lady Bloggs to distinguish her from the current wife of the incumbent baronet. She would not be Lady and Lt. Alice and Gt. and Lt. Bloggs and Gt. a style reserved for the daughters of peers. The children of a baronet are not entitled to the use of any courtesy titles. Baronetess, history and forms of address. For a baronetess one should write Dame Lt. Daisy Smith and Gt. BTSS on the envelope. At the head of the letter one would write Dear Dame Lt. Daisy and Gt. and to refer to her, one would say Dame Lt. Daisy and Gt. or Dame Lt. Daisy Smith and Gt. In history there have been only 4 baronetesses: Dame Daisy Dunbar, 8th BTSS of Hempriggs, cr. 1706. Dame Mary Bowles, 1st BTSS, the only woman apparently to be created a baronetess. Dame Eleanor Dalziel, 10th BTSS, whose title and estate of the Binns passed to her son, the former Labour politician Tam Dalziel MP. Dame Anne Maxwell MacDonald, 11th BTSS, was recognised by the Leon Court in 2005 as 11th holder of the baronetcy under the 1707 remainder and succeeded her father in 1956. In 1976 Lord Leon, King of Arms, stated that, without examining the patent of every Scottish baronetcy, he was not in a position to confirm that only these 4 title creations could pass through female lines. As of 2016, there are no living baronetesses. Territorial designations. All baronetcies are created with a territorial sub-designation. However, only more recent creations duplicating the original creation require territorial designations. So, for example, there are baronetcies more of Colchester, more of Hancock's, more of Kyleburn, and more of Moor Lodge. Heraldic badges. Red Hand of Ulster. Baronets of England, Ireland, Great Britain of the United Kingdom can display the Red Hand of Ulster hand version as a heraldic badge, being the arms of the ancient kings of Ulster. This badge is blazoned as follows: argent, a hand sinister couped at the wrist, extended in pale gules. King James I of England established the hereditary order of baronets in England on the 22nd of May 1611, in the words of Collins' Peerage, for the plantation and protection of the whole kingdom of Ireland, but more especially for the defence and security of the province of Ulster, and therefore for that distinction those of this order and the descendants may bear the badge in their coats of arms either in canton or an escutcheon at their election. Since 1929 such baronets may also display the Red Hand of Ulster on its own as a badge, suspended by a ribbon below the shield of arms. Arms of Nova Scotia. Baronets of Nova Scotia, unlike other baronets, do not use the baronet's badge, but have their own badge showing the coat of arms of Nova Scotia, argent, a saltire azure with an inner scutcheon of the Royal Arms of Scotland. From before 1929 to the present it has been customary practice for such baronets to display this badge on its own, suspended by the order's ribbon, below the shield of arms. Number of baronetcies. The first publication listing all baronetcies ever created was C.J. Parry's Index of Baronetcy Creations. This listed them in alphabetical order, other than the last 5 creations. It showed the total number created from 1611 to 1964 to have been 3,482. They include 5 of Oliver Cromwell, several of which were recreated by Charles II. 25 were created between 1688 and 1784 by James II in exile after his dethronement by his son James Stuart and his grandson Charles Edward Stuart. These Jacobite baronetcies were never accepted by the English crown, have all disappeared and should properly be excluded from the 3,482, making the effective number of creations 3,457. A close examination of Parry's publication shows he missed one or two, so there may well have been some more. The total number of baronetcies today is approximately 1,270, although only some 1,020 are on the official roll of the baronetage. It is unknown whether some baronetcies remain extant, and it may be that nobody can prove himself to be the actual heir. Over 200 baronetcies are now held by peers, and others, such as the Knox line, have been made tenuous due to internal family dispute. There were 1,490 baronetcies extant on the 1st of January 1965, since when there has been a loss of about 260 baronetcies through extinction or dormancy, resulting in a gross decline of 17.5%, or almost 1/6 over 50 years. There have, however, been some exceptions to this trend: a new creation, and 5 baronetcies dormant in 1965 and since revived: Innes baronetcy of Coxton, Nicholson baronetcy of the Dilk and of Lasswade, Hope baronetcy of Kirkliston, St John baronetcy of Farley, and Maxwell MacDonald baronetcy of Pollock. Thus the net loss is 254, or 17.1%. Extant baronetcies number about 1,236. Baronetcies with special remainders. Baronetcies usually descend through heirs male of the body of the grantee, and can rarely be inherited by females or collateral kins, unless created with special remainder, for example, with remainder to heirs male forever, Hay baronetcy of Alderston, etc. Closing parenthesis. With remainder to the sons of the grantee's daughters, and the heirs male of the body's baronetcy of Southwell, etc. Closing parenthesis. With remainder to the grantee's daughter's son, etc. Closing parenthesis. With remainder to the grantee's son-in-law baronetcy of the Navy, Rich baronetcy of London, etc. Closing parenthesis. With remainder to the grantee's brother, Pigot baronetcy of Patshill, etc. Closing parenthesis. With remainder, in default of male issue of the grantee, to the grantee's brothers and to the grantee's father's second cousin, and the heirs male of the bodies, with remainder to Talesy succeeding the grantee in the estate, with remainder specifically excluded the grantee's eldest son. Premier Baronet. England. The Premier Baronet is the unofficial title afforded to the current holder of the oldest extant baronetcy in the realm. The Premier Baronet is regarded as the senior member of the baronetage, and ranks above other baronets in the United Kingdom order of precedence. Sir Nicholas Bacon, 14th Baronet, is the current Premier Baronet, whose family's senior title was created by King James I in 1611. Scotland. The Premier Baronets of Nova Scotia were the Gordon Baronets of Gordonston and Letterfory until the title's extinction in 1908. Subsequently, the Premier Scottish Baronets are the Innes Baronets of the Dilk, the present Premier Baronet being Guy Innes Kerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh, Ireland. The Premier Baronetcy of Ireland was created for Sir Dominic Sarsfield in 1619, and was held by his successors until the attainder of the 4th Viscount Sarsfield in 1691. Since then the descendants of Sir Francis Annesley BT, the Annesley Baronets, have been the Premier Baronets of Ireland. Presently Francis William Dighton Annesley, 16th Viscount Valentia. Baronetcies conferred upon British expatriates and non-British nationals. America. Sir Egerton Lee, 1st Baronet of the Province of South Carolina, America, dormant. Australia. Sir Samuel Way, 1st Baronet of Montefiore in South Australia, extinct 1916. Sir William Clark, 1st Baronet of Rupertswood in the colony of Victoria, extant. Sir Daniel Cooper, 1st Baronet of Woollahra in New South Wales, extant. Sir Charles Nicholson, 1st Baronet of Luddenham, in New South Wales, extinct 1986. The Bahamas, Sir Harry Oakes, 1st Baronet of Nassau, in the Bahama Islands, extant. Barbados, Sir John Aileen, 1st Baronet of Four Hills, in Barbados, extant. Canada. For a complete list, see also List of Canadian baronetcies. Sir Thomas Temple, 1st Baronet of Nova Scotia, in the colony of Nova Scotia, extinct 1674. Sir George Arthur, 1st Baronet of Upper Canada, in the United Province of Canada, extant. Sir John Beverley Robinson, 1st Baronet of Toronto, in the United Province of Canada, dormant. Sir Alan Napier McNab, 1st Baronet of Dundurn Castle, in the United Province of Canada, extinct 1862. Sir Samuel Cunard, 1st Baronet of Bush Hill, Nova Scotia, in the United Province of Canada, extinct 1989. Sir John Rose, 1st Baronet of Montreal, in the Dominion of Canada, extant. Sir Charles Tupper, 1st Baronet of Armdale, Nova Scotia, in the Dominion of Canada, extant. Sir Edward Seaborn Clouston, 1st Baronet of Montreal, in the Dominion of Canada, extinct 1912. Sir Joseph Wesley Flavel, 1st Baronet of Toronto, in the Dominion of Canada, extinct 1985. Sir James Hammerdon, 1st Baronet of Bathurst, New Brunswick, in the Dominion of Canada, extinct 1976. India. Sir Jamsetji Jijiboy, 1st Baronet of Bombay, extant. Sir Dinshaw Manekji Petty, 1st Baronet of Petty Hall, on the island of Bombay, extant. Sir Jahangir Kausji Jahangir Reddy Money, 1st Baronet of Bombay, extant. Sir Karimboy Ibrahim, 1st Baronet of Pabani Villa of Bombay, extant. Sir Chinnabai Madhowlal Rajhodlal, 1st Baronet of Shahpur, in Ahmedabad, extant. Iraq. Sir Albert Abdullah David Sassoon, 1st Baronet of Kensington Gore, extinct 1939. Sir Jacob Sassoon, 1st Baronet of Bombay, extinct 1961. Netherlands. Sir William de Boreal, 1st Baronet of Amsterdam, the 8th Baronet, also became jonkheer in the Dutch nobility, extant. Sir Joseph van Colster, 1st Baronet of Amsterdam, extinct 1665. Sir Walter de Radt, 1st Baronet of The Hague, extinct. Sir Cornelis Tromp, 1st Baronet Lieutenant Admiral of Holland, also created Ridder in the Dutch nobility, extinct 1691. Sir Richard Tulp, 1st Baronet of Amsterdam, extinct 1690. Sir Gellibrand Schasch van Bosch, 1st Baronet of Rotterdam, extinct 1720. Sir Cornelis Spielman, 1st Baronet of Brabant. Sir Cornelis Jacob Spielman, 3rd Baronet, also became jonkheer in the Dutch nobility, extinct 2005. Sir John Peter van den Brand, 1st Baronet of Clever Skirker, extinct 1750. New Zealand. Sir Charles Clifford, 1st Baronet of Flaxbourne, in New Zealand, extant. Sir Joseph Ward, 1st Baronet of Wellington, in New Zealand, extant. South Africa. Sir Andries Stockenstrom, 1st Baronet of Cape of Good Hope, extinct 1957. Sir Julius Wernher, 1st Baronet of Luton Hoo Park, in the parish of Luton and county of Bedford, extinct 1973. Sir Joseph Robinson, 1st Baronet of Hawthornden, in the Cape Province, and Dudley House, in Westminster, extant. Sir David Graff, 1st Baronet of Cape Town, in the Cape of Good Hope Province of the Union of South Africa, extant. Sir George Farrer, 1st Baronet of Chicheley Hall, in Buckinghamshire, extinct 1915. Sir Leander Starr Jameson, 1st Baronet of Downe Street, in London, extinct 1917. Sir George Albu, 1st Baronet of Johannesburg, extant. Sir Lionel Phillips, 1st Baronet of Tilney Hall, extant. Sir Southern Holland, 1st Baronet of Westwell Manor, in the county of Oxford, extinct 1997. Sir Abe Bailey, 1st Baronet of South Africa, extant. Sir Bernard Oppenheimer, 1st Baronet of Stoke Poges, in the county of Buckingham, extant. Sir Otto Bate, 1st Baronet of Tewin Water, extinct 1994. Sir Lewis Richardson, 1st Baronet of Yellow Woods, in the Cape of Good Hope Province, in South Africa, extant. Sir Stephen Hinchliffe, 1st Baronet of Hinchliffe Mill, in Yorkshire, Sweden. Sir John Frederick van Friesendorf, 1st Baronet of Herdetch, also created Riksfriar in the German nobility. His sons created Friherren in the nobility of Sweden, extant. Sir Eric Olson, 1st Baronet of Scarborough, in the North Riding of the county of York, extant. In fiction,